Okay, we are live. Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On today's show, it will be the next episode or installment of my Bioweapon Blues series. I'm at number 37 now. It's been a while since I did my last one, but I've compiled just so much information now. It's really an Everest-sized hill of information regarding the mass culling, the killing by governments all over the world. Really the most evil people that have lived since the Nazis. Children are dying left and right, and really nobody's doing anything about it. So it's disgusting. The church doesn't talk much about it. Everybody's just pushing it under the rug. It's probably been a mass poisoning going on for 20, 30 years. So when God opens up his cups of wrath, nobody should really be shocked, because humanity probably deserves it for doing nothing. All these criminals in the Department of Justice, what a joke. It's embarrassing. So I'll play 30 minutes of film here. The intro will be from Naomi Wolf, who's done so much work on this. Excellent work, as usual, on this subject of the kill shot and how it harms reproduction. It's all by intent. It's not an accident. So anybody who thinks that this is a mistake, you can see Fauci out there talking to idiots who still watch TV news about how they might have got something wrong, or he's having hauling. He's trying to cover himself. He should have been arrested a long time ago. A lot of these criminals should have been arrested. It says everything about the Attorney General. And the states have to take action, so the state governments really should take action, because the federal government's corrupt and run by the scum of creation. Really. So I'll play this video, 30 minutes, and then I have some slides.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Thank you everyone for being here. You're very brave, given what I'm going to share with you tonight, but I promise we'll go to a very dark and scary place, and then we'll come out into a place of hope and forward thinking. Yes, but I do admire your courage. And before I begin, I just want to find the words to express how grateful I am to Hillsdale College, not only for inviting me, but for being what it is, which is truly a light right now to not just America, but to probably the world, in helping us remember what liberal arts are supposed to do and what Western civilization is supposed to be for, and what it means to actually take on that incredibly powerful and responsible and sacred task of overseeing the education of young adults from the ages of 17 or 18 to 21 or 22. And out of all the institutions that I've witnessed in the last 3 years, this is the only one in which the students have not been traumatized. I'm so grateful to all of you. So I'm just going to jump right in. I'm a pacer. Is there a handheld mic I might use while I pace? And, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Bell. I'll stand here till a handheld manifests. So I should also start out by disclosing that I did spend my entire career on the left. I was an advisor to Gore 2000 and to the Clinton re-election. I'm sorry, I just feel I should share. I should share this. I should get it out. I should just be transparent. And the last 3 years have shown me that my former world has truly imploded, and that now, sad but true. But the happy part is that now I think something's happening in this country in which left and right really are losing any meaning. And what really matters is what I've found, which is my brothers and sisters are right here in this room. My brothers and sisters are anyone who cares about the Constitution, liberty, and freedom. So I'm so happy to be with you tonight. And I should also disclose, in case you're worried, this is not a pharma hit. this. I ran after a puppy. We have an adorable new puppy, and he was faster than I am. So that's that. All right. So I'm going to talk to you about what's really in the Pfizer documents. And if I pace around like this, can you hear me? Okay. And the reason I know what's in the Pfizer documents is not because I'm a medical doctor. I'm not. It's not because I'm a scientist. I'm not. I'm an English major. My DPhil is in Victorian poetry. But I know what's in the Pfizer documents because something kind of miraculous in the history of intellectual inquiry happened to me and to the world as a result. And it's the following. Some of you may know that a lawyer named Aaron Siri pursued a lawsuit against the FDA to release the internal documents that Pfizer created as part of its rollout of its mRNA injection. And these are internal documents showing what happened when people were injected with this material, and also the experiments that led up to it internally. And thank God for the judge in that lawsuit, because the FDA asked that judge to keep these documents hidden for 75 years, right? Until long after we are all gone. Exactly. And the judge said no. And so the documents were released. So I read this, thank you so much. And as a journalist, I was concerned because I knew that journalists, thank you so much. Are not equipped to, as lay people, to understand the technical language in the documents. And I also knew that Pfizer was releasing 55,000 documents a month. And even that is a bit deceptive because these are documents that each of them can be 10,000 pages long, right? So a massive tranche of data. And that ordinary journalist was going to go into the memory hole unless we found specialized readers to read through, analyze, and interpret, and boil down into manageable reports. Thank you so much. What was in the Pfizer documents? So I went on War Room, which is another great irony of this moment. Are we good? Thank you so much. All right, thank you to this lovely lady who helped me be audible. Thank you. Thank you. I feel free here at Hillsdale. I can go anywhere. I can say anything. I went on War Room, which is, one of these great ironies of this moment, that Steve Bannon and I have this, interlocutory platform where he listens to what I have to say, which is a miracle because I got deplatformed a year and a half ago for doing what I've done for 35 years, which is reporting on women's reproductive and sexual health. In June of 2021, I reported on the fact that women were experiencing menstrual symptoms subsequent to receiving an mRNA injection. I'm a feminist. I've been a feminist forever. My first book was published when I was 26. And it is not unusual for me to call attention to symptoms that women are having that are red flags. Anyone who knows 8th grade biology can tell if women are having menstrual symptoms, there are going to be other bad things happening down the road. And sure enough, Twitter deplatformed me for this obvious observation. And I was also smeared globally. And it turns out another lawsuit subsequently found that it was the White House, the CDC, possibly DHS, and Twitter all unlawfully colluding to deplatform and smear me for making this observation about women's health. Yeah, but fast forward, I was talking on War Room about the release of these documents, and I called for experts to help us read through them, and miraculously, 2,500 experts responded to this call. And right? Yes. But the story is not over because I was ill-equipped to manage them. And so we had physicians, we had RNs, we had biostatisticians, medical fraud investigators, lab clinicians, research scientists, cardiologists, pathologists, anesthesiologists, some of the most distinguished scientists and medical people imaginable. But it's virtually impossible to manage 2,500 experts around the world, especially, if you don't have this background, wading through 55,000 documents a month. So again, the reason I tell this story is I really feel like something metaphysically beautiful is happening even in the middle of something metaphysically hideous. And that is this tiny woman, Amy Kelly, this tiny doll-like woman, and I stress her tiny doll-like appearance because it's so stereotypical, but she's such a force of nature, right? Belying those stereotypes. She offered to be our project manager. She stepped right in and she just calmed the storm. And she organized these 2,500 experts, immediately 3,500 experts around the world into 6 working groups with a committee at the head of each who were busy churning out reports based on these primary source documents so that they could tell the world using the highest level of analysis possible, but broken down into language that everyone could understand what was in the Pfizer documents. So this is just stunning to me that this happened. So now there are 58 reports, and now is the sad part of what I have to tell you. The Pfizer documents contain evidence of the greatest crime against humanity in the history of our species. And I'm so sorry to have to walk you through this, but there's no way around it. We just have to go through. And the beauty of Hillsdale is that you all are tough and like truth. And so with truth, we can prevail. But it's painful. Some of the things that came to light, just some headlines. Pfizer knew, for instance, 1 month after rollout, so that's November of 2020, that the vaccines didn't work to stop COVID. Indeed, in the Pfizer documents, a month after rollout, and this is marketing, post-marketing, so it's out there, the spokesmodels are telling you to do it, the ads are in social media, the ads are on television. A month after rollout, Pfizer's internal documents identify that the vaccines have vaccine failure and failure of efficacy, and they identify that the third most common side effect of the Pfizer vaccine is COVID. The second headline, which is stunning, is that within a month or two, Pfizer was getting so many reports of adverse events, meaning bad things happening to people who had been injected, that they understood that they needed to hire 2,400 full-time staffers in order simply to process the paperwork of the adverse events that they were receiving reports of, as well as to prepare for the flood of adverse events that they knew they would get in the near future. Pfizer knew in May of 2021 that the vaccines had caused heart damage in 35 minors within a week after the injection. And Pfizer knew, right? You've got to understand that all of these documents say FDA confidential at the bottom of them, right? Pfizer and the FDA shared these documents. And the FDA knew that 35 minors sustained heart damage. But the government of the United States, and I'm embarrassed to say I voted for these people, didn't tell parents until August of 2021 that there was an elevated risk of heart damage in healthy young adults. 4 months later, and in those 4 months, what did the young adults of America receive? A constant battering with propaganda on social media, on television, in news outlets, bought up by money in the CARES Act, as well as from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, with influencers showing off their injection site, saying, we can do this together. We can be strong. Do it for grandma. All of this aimed at young adults. They did not tell the young adults, the healthy young adults of the United States, your generation, that this was elevating a risk of heart damage till 4 months later. You may recall that the CDC said that the materials of the injections stay in the injection site. And the materials are lipid nanoparticles. They are mRNA, and the lipid nanoparticles are an industrial fat, which is covered in polyethylene glycol, which is a petroleum byproduct, right? And spike protein. Well, the CDC said it stays in the injection site. And then it says, and I remember asking doctors, like relatives who are doctors and were funded by NIH grants, where does the spike protein go? And they were like, you know, when you're a journalist, you've got an ear for nonsense. They were like, well, your body metabolizes it, you know, or, well, you'll digest it and excrete it. And it's like they had no evidence to give me, to show me the basis for their response. But in fact, that's not what happens to these materials. And Pfizer knew that. These materials biodistribute, this is Pfizer's language, throughout your body in 48 hours. And where do they settle? Lipid nanoparticles are designed to cross every membrane in the human body. They've known this for 10 years. So where do these ingredients go? They go to the brain. Some of you have noticed changes in the personalities of loved ones who have taken these injections. They biodistribute to the liver, the adrenals, the spleen, and if you're a woman, they accumulate in your ovaries. Now, these are industrial fats coated with polyethylene glycol in your ovaries, okay? And what's really scary, Dr. Robert Chandler, who's a respected pathologist who's treated the Lakers and the Angels, he wrote this report, and he shows that the chart shows the graph going down as it leaves the injection site, but going up as it accumulates in these various organs over time. And what's incredibly scary if you're a woman is that there's no mechanism that we've found by which the body gets rid of the lipid nanoparticles in the ovaries. So your first injection, some go into your ovaries. Your second injection, more go into your ovaries. Your booster, more go into your ovaries. There's no mechanism with which the body can release this material that we've seen.
So I'll put a link to the full speech of that on in the show notes so you can check that out. I think this is very important. It's all part of it. The government is denying their own citizens their constitutional rights. The Biden administration.
What is it like to get a hold of the Twitter files? Like, what was that experience like? How did that go down?
Exciting as hell, man. I mean, seriously, there's been a lot of misinformation about that itself, but Barry Weiss contacted me. She lives in LA, and she got in, and she's like, how soon can you get over here? And I was like, let me finish this interview I'm on, and I'm over. And yeah, it was incredible. You know, I never met Elon before. You know, I met him at the coffee station, just making himself a cup of coffee. He had no idea who I was. And yeah, we just got into it. It was I was sort of the least known of the big three journalists that were there. It was Barry Weiss and Matt Taibbi, who was on. And they'd already started thinking about how to kind of what to go after. And Matt had done a story on the Hunter Biden laptop already. And then we were starting to look at January 6th because Trump gets deplatformed on January 8th. And so because I'm like the junior member of that threesome, so to speak, they gave me January 7th. So one of the first things we did was just to look at how they made a decision to pull Trump off the platform. And it turned out that the 7th was an important day because that was when they started to rationalize this decision to deplatform Trump, even though their own people inside had decided that he had not violated their terms of service. So they were sort of stuck making up a reason to deplatform him. And that was an important theme, was that they just kept changing the rules, basically to do what they wanted to do. And that was the same thing on the Hunter Biden laptop. The New York Post story that they censored also had not violated their terms of service. So, I mean, look, it was crazy. I mean, it was, people always ask questions about the files themselves, but, the experience was we would ask for these searches and we just get back huge amounts of data. It was lots of thousands and thousands of emails, thousands of internal messages on their Slack messaging system. And so, yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, some of it was very boring because you have to just read tons and tons of stuff. But, I think the big theme was we start by seeing a real, it's super progressive. It's like 99% of campaign contributions from Twitter staff are going to Democrats. The head of safety at Twitter, this guy named Joel Roth, who, said there's actual Nazis in the White House when Trump came in. He was very progressive. But over time, we just kept finding like this weird, like FBI wants us to do this. There's these other government agencies. Oh, this all these people used to work at the FBI. The CIA shows up, Department of Homeland Security, and we're kind of like, what the hell is going on? And the story quickly shifted from us sort of, and I think what Elon thought, which was that it was just very progressive people being biased in their content moderation and their censoring, to there is a huge operation by U.S. government officials, U.S. government contractors, and all of these super sketchy NGOs getting money from who knows where, basically demanding that Twitter start censoring people. And at that moment, the story shifted for all of us. And that was, I think, where Taibbi became particularly important and sort of the lead, because he had had so much experience on sort of looking at how the U.S. government during the War on Terror had waged disinformation campaigns, propaganda campaigns, and it became clear to us, over time that the U.S. government had turned its propaganda and disinformation campaigns that it had been waging abroad, it turned them against the American people. And that was where you just started to get chills up your spine, and you were like, this is something seriously sinister is going on.
Turned the disinformation campaigns they were using against foreign governments against their own people. Very important to remember.
Thank you.
This is incredible. This is somebody talking to a nurse about getting a 6-month-old with a kill shot. It's so sick.
Central Nursing, Stephanie speaking.
Hi. Sorry, who am I speaking with?
This is Stephanie.
Hi, Stephanie. Sorry, I just missed your call.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I made an appointment to bring my daughter Angel in, who's just over 6 months for her first COVID shot. I was just wondering if there's anything, I need to do before she comes, or also, what side effects?
Yeah, so there's nothing you need to do ahead of time. When you arrive, you just need to make sure that you bring her health card. And then just make sure that when she's on the date that she's coming, that she hasn't been sick recently or feeling unwell, that she's healthy, just like any other vaccine that she would receive. We just want them to be healthy. And then when she gets here, just health card. And then after the vaccine, the only things we can expect is some people, not everybody, but some people do feel like generally unwell for about 24, 48 hours afterwards. So it's just like body ache, sometimes a bit of a fever, but it usually resolves itself within 48 hours. And then other than that, she's 6 months, so she'll be getting it in her leg. It can make her leg feel sore.
Okay, and nothing else, because I've heard I've seen some things online, do you give Pfizer or?
We do Pfizer and Moderna. For her age group, it's Pfizer.
Okay, and because I've been seeing some things online in regards to myocarditis and
So it is, but that's in like an older population.
Okay, but it is relatively new for babies, right? Like it hasn't really been done. So is there?
Yeah, it is definitely relatively new for kids, for sure. Yeah.
So do you think I should wait until more data?
I'd just like to make you aware of things that are going on currently in the aviation industry. We're an organization that stood up to protect individuals' rights, to protect against the vaccine mandates that have been illegal from the start. I'm going to talk to you about the harm that's being done now. We have people that have died from remdesivir, airline pilots that I'm familiar with. But more importantly, we had forced vaccination programs that now have vaccinated over 80% of your airline pilots, and we're seeing the fallout from that. Incredible injuries. People who look just like me in my age group are having myocarditis, dropping dead on flights. In 12 days, we had 4 incapacitations.
Oh my God.
That's just been over the past 2 weeks. Many more at home. and the skies are not nearly as safe as they used to be, and yet everyone's turning their head. And irresponsible doctors are pushing these vaccines. The airline CEOs and management are going along with it. There has been a significant reduction of ethics, both in the hospitals and across all large corporations and across our government. And it's going to be people like you who are here today. They're going to stand up and make a fundamental difference and help to bring change. Some of these stories, we have pilot Cody Flint, gets his first Pfizer shot. 50 hours later, he's flying his aircraft, passes out, doesn't remember landing the airplane. Back in April of 2022, American Airlines pilot, Captain Bob Snow, a man who was forced to get a vaccine against his will to keep his job. He lands American Airlines 1067 in Dallas-Fort Worth. 6 minutes after that aircraft touched down on the runway, he collapses in the flight deck from cardiac arrest. And fortunately, Captain Bob Snow is still with us today due to the quick thinking of some passengers on that flight. We also had Captain Patrick Ford, who wasn't so lucky. American Eagle 3556. This was back in November of 2022, departing out of Chicago. Within 90 seconds of that aircraft being cleared for takeoff, he's incapacitated, unresponsive in the captain's seat. The first officer, who was a very experienced Czech airman, did an exceptional job of bringing that aircraft back around and landing it. These are just a few of the stories that have been public. There are many more just like them that you're not hearing about. There's a massive cover-up underway. What you're seeing at the hospitals, what you're seeing at the airlines and across the board, I think most people aren't aware of just how significant these adverse events are. These medical protocols have destroyed so many lives, especially when
there should be a part
doing
two
for COVID. And it treats these vaccines. There's companies like Cardio Miracle is one. An amazing man, John Hewlett, the founder of that. It's a premier heart product. And he's helping so many of our injured members. And I hope that if any of you are having issues, that you would look into Cardio Miracle as well. There are solutions out here. There are detoxes. There are good people like the doctors who you've heard speak. Doc, who just spoke before me, has been such an asset. He's put in so much effort to help our pilots and help others. He's done so very selflessly. So I'd just like to say thank you to all of them. Thank you to everyone who's been here today. And we look forward to seeing you at the hospital later this afternoon. Thank you.
The Albanese government continued the Morrison government's campaign to sign away Australian sovereignty to the United Nations World Health Organization, the WHO. Despite the attempt failing, WHO's power grab is ongoing. WHO is not independent. Their owners are corporate donors who contribute most of the WHO budget. WHO's current sugar daddy is Bill Gates, who has made billions out of his investment in the same vaccines that WHO promotes. Gates bought the WHO and they now recommend his products. It is that simple. The head of the WHO is Tedros Ghebreyesus, previously health minister of a terrorist organization called the Tigray People's Liberation Front, where he used international aid to buy power and punish his enemies. The regions of Ethiopia that Tedros starved for medical supplies suffered disastrous cholera epidemics in 2006, 2009, 2011. Independent investigators found Tedros was, quote, fully complicit in the terrible suffering and dying that spread in East Africa. He's a killer. WHO is rotting from the head. Last week, Associated Press reported on the WHO sex crime scandal, where WHO staffers sexually exploited girls and women during the Congo's recent Ebola outbreak. Inhuman. At least 83 WHO staff engaged in abuse, including rape and forced abortions, with victims as young as 13. WHO refused to fire the perpetrators, using the absurd argument that their actions didn't violate WHO's sexual exploitation policies because the victims were not receiving WHO aid. The raping part is okay with Tedros. This is the person who heads an organisation that many in government and academia want to elevate above the Australian Parliament. One Nation rejects the UN WHO power grab and will defend Australian sovereignty. So should you all.
Thank you, Senator Rob.
I know my favorite, I showed this guy on the show. He was a doctor from the Mayo Clinic, and he used to travel around the country during COVID debunking myths of the vaccine, so people wouldn't be vaccine hesitant. Then he got his vaccine, and he got tinnitus, right, which is that horrible ring in your ears that never goes away. And they go, don't you think it's ironic you used to debunk the vaccines myths, and then you got tinnitus? And you know what he said? Get this. He goes, huh?
This is one of the great killers in the United States crying about something on TV. There's some kind of attempt to make this freak palatable to people, to make him more human.
People seeing their loved ones die. The stress of the fact that you're responsible for something that's killing a lot of people. 400,000 individual people. People seeing their loved ones die.
Man, I like Dr. Fauci a lot.
The president has listened to what I have said and what the other people on the task force have said.
We have, whether it's Dr. Fauci, we have the best people on earth.
No, you didn't. You really didn't have the best people on earth. You hired a bunch of parasites who made a ton of money and gave people remdesivir. Run death is near. No, they knew all this stuff.
Suggests, why don't we do this? And I said, no, that's really not a good idea from a scientific standpoint. He has never overruled me. We've done pretty much what he and others, Dr. Birx and others who are terrific, recommended.
When I made
That's Trump got bamboozled by almost everybody in the government. Health agencies, intel agencies, everything. Just bamboozled.
recommendations, he's taken them.
It is very important to me, and I will be listening to him. The first and only time that Dr. Birx and I went in and formally made a recommendation to the president to actually have a, quote, shutdown. The president listened to the recommendation and went to the mitigation. I listened to them about everything. I think they're actually surprised. The next second time that I went with Dr. Birx into the president and said, 15 days are not enough. We need to go 30 days. The president went with the health recommendations. I have a lot of respect for Dr. Fauci, for Dr. Birx, and I'll be listening to them.
He's never countered or overridden me.
This stuff won't age well.
I get along with him very well, and I agree with a lot of what he said. Never in the multiple times that I've done that, where I said, for scientific reasons, we really should do this, that he hasn't said, let's do it. Well, Dr. Fauci said, we've done a fantastic job. I can't imagine that anybody could be doing more.
What have you seen over the last 48 hours that had you reassess that strategy and say, you know what, I think we need to take a month off?
Well, it's not so much what I've seen. I listen to experts. We have Dr. Fauci.
Are we doing everything possible that you would do up to this point?
You know, I believe so. I told Tony Fauci, I said, why don't you move to New York, run against AOC, you will win easily. The coordinated response has been, there are a number of adjectives to describe it. Impressive, I think, is one of them. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, they should be respected for the job they've done.
No, they shouldn't. No way. And here's more like dead bodies in the city center. This is Landsberg in Germany. All the people who were murdered or died from the kill shot. Check 1, 2. So this is just a bunch of slides that I've compiled. This is one from Edward Dowd using the conservative numbers from our vaccine damage report for U.S. and assuming globally 5 billion people were back. That's not a vaccine. 5 people were given the kill shot. Here's the extrapolated estimated human costs globally, 5 million deaths, 4.46 million disabilities, and 900 million injuries. Incredible. Dowd again. These numbers look horrific. Work absence rates are off the charts, and it's only gotten worse. Something's going on with our workforce that we've never seen before, and it's gone so far above trend. It's a health concern. Just some of the slides. This is my buddy Jamie Deluxe. At this rate, it seems like life expectancy is going from 80s to the 40s, and no one says anything or asks anything. I don't even know how most people I know personally died in the last year and a half. Well, I'm pretty sure I know, but I know of 5 personally around my age that have died since last summer. Actually, I know more. 1 committed suicide. 1 was hit by a car. 2 others were my friend's sons. 8 died from brain tumor on Christmas Eve. The other was 17, died on the day after Xmas. But that's 9 since last spring, so people are dropping dead. Nobody's saying anything. It's incredible. Absolutely. These are a list of people who died suddenly. Kids. The child killing is going off the charts. These are like followers of Moloch, just demons. It's part of the agenda. Craig Kelly, court actions against the dangerous poisons are fast picking up momentum around the world. They rushed safety trials, manipulated results from trials, dodgy science, sudden and unexpected deaths, record excess deaths. Time to destroy all the poisons. WHO whistleblower Astrid Stuckelberger confirms our work. Nanorobots, synthetic biology, RFID chips, metals, and nanocircuitry in the 9 C-19 shots. Some of them had it seems like. This is Attorney General for Missouri, I believe. The White House pressured YouTube to reduce watch time of borderline content by 70%. That was me. I got my YouTube channels taken away. The FBI boasted of a 50% success rate in getting platforms to censor misinformation. The Election Integrity Partnership bragged that 35% of URLs shared with Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube were either labeled, removed, or soft blocked. As a result of this collaboration between social media companies and the CDC, NIH, NIAID, that's Fauci, American citizens, scientists, and journalists were shadow banned, censored, silenced, and deplatformed for their valid concerns about lockdowns, masks, COVID vaccines, and more. That was me. So these people took away my rights, free speech. CDC, NIH, NIAID, and the social media companies. So they should all be sued out of existence. It's the right thing to do. Joel Smalley. As I said a long, long time ago, the vaccine has the exact same pathogenicity as the virus, but as bad as this pull is for the jab, it underestimates jab damage. Vax death equal COVID deaths. Yeah. This is the most important poll they've ever done. Mainstream media will never commission a poll like this. Never. So when they say the poll must be wrong, ask to see their poll. Why did the CDC never poll Americans as a reality check to make sure they got it right? Good question. I've known that answer for a long time, since I did polls of an unbiased audience ago, back July 4th, 2022. But of course, nobody paid attention because I'm a, quote, misinformation spreader, unquote. But now Rasmussen comes out with the most important poll they've ever done, and the results are devastating. So this is Biden. This is Michael Schellenberger. Biden and his team colluded with social media to censor truthful info on a scale never before seen. So that's the Biden administration doesn't want you to have your constitutional rights. It's called tyranny. Okay? It's called tyranny, people. Simple tyranny. It's an assault on liberty. You're not free. You're not free with Biden in power. I'm sorry. Anybody who thinks like that is a total idiot. Total goon. Kneel by mouth. Anthony Fauci is still lying through his teeth about the safety and efficacy of the dangerous and ineffective experimental mRNA injections, which have maimed and killed many thousands, if not millions worldwide. Yeah, millions worldwide, 48 million disabilities, 900 million injuries. Do the math. Mass murder. Arrest. Should be arrested. Merrick Garland, what are you doing? Nothing. These people are just a joke. They're the biggest losers. Oh my God. Italian doctor suspended for suggesting autopsies of sudden deaths. Of course. They don't want proof. Even Fauci told somebody no autopsies because he knows. They knew. Intent to harm, intent to murder children. Okay? This is just like mainstream media. How we must learn the true lessons of the pandemic response. Yes, we should. This is Dr. Tracy Hogue, Congress, that the highest quality scientific evidence has consistently shown that masks do not work, school closures were not necessary, and 6 feet of distancing was not based on science. Quote, we've had evidence prior to the pandemic that masks were largely ineffective at preventing community transmission of influenza and other upper respiratory viruses, and we did not obtain any new high-quality evidence during COVID-19 that masks are an effective mitigation strategy. We have several confounded observational studies, many of which were actually published by the CDC, that have severe flaws in them that unfortunately led people to believe that masking children was going to be effective and necessary to keep children in schools. It was all politics, all money making and money grubbing. Just totally evil people, man. America's just infested with demons, evil people, child killers. Today, this is Senator Ron Johnson. Today, Democrats defeated my amendment to require Senate ratification for any pandemic agreement with the World Health Organization. Now we know Democrats are willing to relinquish U.S. sovereignty to a global entity. How sad. Yeah, it is sad. BioNTech shares slip on gloomy COVID vaccine sales outlook. Good. Walter Chestnut, boom. The spike is basically transforming cells instantaneously into those of the oldest old. We will solve this. Now we have the spike in our sights. It is laid bare. Do not age yourself. Capiche? Yeah. Causes aging. C-19 was known by the DoD and HHS months before anyone else. Ukraine bioweapons labs involved. $115 million of funding over 14 years from DoD, EcoHealth Alliance, and MetaBiota. Right. Hunter Biden's all mixed up in that MetaBiota stuff. And then Fauci was the one paying for the research at Wuhan, which a new paper just came out pretty much states that the virus or whatever was going around was gain of function in Wuhan and got out. It's pretty much settled that it was some kind of bioweapon. 2 bioweapons, really. The viral bioweapon and then the bioweapon in the shot. This is like the burning of 71 billion euros. We are witnessing the burning of millions of doses of the so-called vaccine. 71 billion euros it cost the European taxpayer, all done in secret. Yeah, your politicians love you. They love you to die. This is overlean with graphene oxide, something very poisonous. I think alcohol actually takes graphene oxide out of your body, so should probably, if you took the shot, you should probably take a couple extra shots of tequila. After producing various toxic multi-species proteins from human embryonic kidney cells that were transfected with the mRNA ordered from China, the scientists at Pfizer then applied the spike proteins to gold quantifoil that is overlaid with graphene oxide. It's just a big witch's brew of nightmare stuff. It's incredible. Says Vigilant Fox, Robert Kennedy Jr. The younger you are, the more likely you'll get myocarditis, which is what's killing people from heart attacks. 50% of the people who get myocarditis, according to historical data, will be dead or require a heart transplant within 5 years. 1 out of 2,700 boys will get myocarditis from this vaccine. This is Michael Yeadon. Do not take anything with the word vaccine on it, especially if it comes with emergency or mRNA. Don't take it. They are lying to you about the reason for needing it. Ralph Barrick's description of the perfect bioweapon sounds awfully similar to SARS-CoV-2. This is Igor Chudov. The SARS-CoV-2 virus that causes COVID-19 contains genetic fragments of HIV. This post will show that numerous scientific studies created recombinant viruses containing genes from HIV. Thus, it should not surprise anyone that a lab-engineered pathogen such as SARS-CoV-2 is a recombinant carrier of HIV genes and expresses HIV peptides such as GP120 or GAG. I also explained that the SARS-CoV-2 matches Ralph Barrick's description of his perfect bioweapon, a medium pathogenicity designer recombinant virus whose purpose is to create fear. Which it did. Bill Gates, CDC, NIH had ignored his call. Bosch knew the vaccine program wouldn't end well from the start. I got one response from somebody I copied, a very well-renowned vaccinologist who I know personally. He literally responded to me and said, Geert, you're right. These vaccines are only going to breed variants, but nobody's going to listen to you because you go against mainstream. This is Sucharit Bhakti. These gene-based shots are the most terrible instruments that have ever been introduced into the human body to destroy humans, starting from the mind, going to the heart, organs, into the entire body. These are going to destroy mankind. Kevin McKernan reports on Plasmagate. COVID-19 injection vials are full of stuff that's not supposed to be there, such as DNA. Yeah, interesting. It's a witch's brew, man. You literally could go out to the gutter in your like an urban area and fill up syringe full of gutter water, it probably would be better for you than what they're putting in these shots. Literally better for you. Plasmagate broke out a couple weeks ago by providing Pfizer manufacturing documentation that described the limits at which these impurities can be presented to Kevin. So arbitrarily, there's DNA, over 100 times more DNA that should be in there. Data from New Zealand. Ministry of Health has revealed a massive 103% increase in hospitalizations along 12 diseases categories measured in 2021 following the mRNA rollout. Oh, not surprised. A bunch of murderers. Vigilant Fox Senator Ron Johnson now questions all vaccines, has been reading Turtles All the Way Down. Johnson said he was never an anti-vaxxer before COVID, but now he's skeptical after seeing the pandemic response. I start reading books like Dissolving Illusions, Turtles All the Way Down. You see the documentary Vaxxed. You read a host of other books. You wonder, why isn't this being talked about? Why aren't questions even allowed? Because it's a program and the agenda been going on for 20 or 25 years at least to just murder people. Period. Try to get away from it, get away with it. Crime and Retribution, Peter Halligan. Someone has to say it. The giant syringe in the room has killed millions. Yes, they have. At least 5 million by Dowd's estimate. But the damages were, people are injured and disabled. CDC. You probably know someone who has not received the updated COVID-19 booster. You can answer common questions about the booster to encourage them to get it. So you're supposed to rat your friends out to get vaccine hesitancy, kill shot hesitancy done. The guy says, go F yourselves. Yeah. Evil. CDC is totally evil. It should totally be defunded. They shouldn't get $1 from the U.S. government. Tom Renz, the Defense Department's response to what we said was not there was a glitch in the current DMED data. It was that the data for the past 5 years was off, so the premier medical epidemiological database for the military was apparently wrong by hundreds of percent for 5 years and nobody noticed. Then all of a sudden, magically, despite the fact they didn't notice, it corrected itself when we found the DMED data. The rep says, so you're saying that this Reuters article that I'm looking at is incorrect? And Rand says, I'm saying it's wildly incorrect and that the Department of Defense is lying. They are adding tromathiamine and tromathiamine hydrochloride to the child vaccine. Do people know what that is used for? It's a blood acid reducer. It can correct acid levels in the body following heart surgery or cardiac arrest. They knew the damage this would cause. Yeah, so they're playing around with it. They're not telling you everything that's in these shots. It's off the charts. It's just a total criminal act. No informed consent. You cannot have informed consent for that. All should be sued. All should be in jail. Hurry up. John Campbell reviews newly released Pfizer biodistribution data from January 2021. I think we can be certain this information was on Anthony Fauci's desk. Bear in mind, all this was known before the vaccines were approved. I'm struggling for words. Yeah, you should be. Because it went all through the body. They know it. They all knew. I'm going to change the title of this to They All Knew. Go Howell. Yes, I held my son's arm while they injected it and destroyed his health. I did it to him because I trusted doctors who are paid to sell vaccines. Not one doctor will acknowledge my son's injuries. They become arrogant and angry when I bring up vaccines. No one will listen. Yeah, it must be tough for parents. Todd Trebany, doctor. Just a reminder, did you know Blue Cross Blue Shield paid pediatricians a $40,000 bonus for fully vaccinating 100 patients under the age of 2? But pediatricians lose the whole bonus unless at least 63% of patients are fully vaccinated, and that includes the flu vaccine. Wow. The incentives are off the charts, the perverse incentives. It's not just remdesivir and the venting and stuff. It's all over the place. The government change, and this has to go back to the Biden administration. It's incredible. Regulatory bodies across the world knew in January 2021 that toxic lipid nanoparticles permeated blood plasma, and from there into liver, spleen, ovum, thymus, uterus, testes, brain, and bone marrow. Yeah, they knew. On June 7th, 2021, Ashish Jha, White House COVID-19 response coordinator, murder, stated there is no doubt that the vaccine-induced immunity is much more durable and protective than natural immunity. Dr. Jha was lying. There's no good evidence for his claim, but he pretended there was anyway. Just flat out lies. Just the most vicious propaganda. These people are evil. It's incredible. Like, to see the Department of Defense and the law enforcement just do nothing with these murders around is just as bad as the murder. It's like, hey, that's Jeffrey Dahmer. He's got bodies in a vat. Well, my job is to stop murdering, but I think I'll go have a donut. Unbelievable. This is England. Look what the government passed today. Our food will not be safe to eat. Genetic technology, precision breeding at Act 2023. The poisoning of the British people continues apace. Yeah, you all have to die off. That's the point. This guy's freaking scary. Tony Blair. Guys, guess who was behind the Frankensteining of our food supply without any regulation? Tony Blair and his paymaster Bill Gates. The regime has given these monsters the green light to do what they like. I kid you not. Yeah. God is just, man. Come quickly. Vengeance is yours. These are child killers. I mean, I just keep screenshotting these young kids who are dying on the soccer fields and stuff like that. Like, it did never happen when I was growing up. These are monsters. Week 12, this is Aussie 17. Earth-shattering event in the science world. Hard evidence that mRNA vaccines are out of specs. Hard evidence of DNA contaminants in Pfizer and Moderna's, quote, vaccines, unquote. Stop calling it a vaccine. It's a kill shot, man. They knew it. Kevin McKernan, the Pfizer monovalent vaccines also contain DNA contamination. Initial estimates place them 20 to 30-fold above the EMA limit. Billions of these were administered without anyone running a simple qPCR check on their quality. Yeah, it's incredible. Jan Jekulek. We followed them for 90 days. Their bifidobacteria dropped to like zero, from like 1 million to like zero. Are COVID-19 vaccines killing the bifidobacteria in your gut? Yeah, I'm sure it's killing everything, dude. It's a bioweapon. It means it's against biology. Larry Cook, vaccines are the primary cause of autism. Vaccines never saved us from disease. Vaccines do not confer immunity. Vaccines harm health, create lifelong injuries, and cause death. The vaccine makers know all of this. That begs the question, what's the real purpose of vaccines then? To kill. It's a slow kill. Penny Bird responds. It used to be a slow kill, but I think they're in a hurry now, sticking to a timeline. Need to reduce the population by the billions before 2030 to control what's left, and it won't be in the Western world. This is Dr. Paul Cottrell. He was actually right. I remember watching this guy in 2020. He had everything right, man. He said it was a bioweapon. It was engineered. It was going to cause mass, destruction and social death and destruction. He was right. But he says the next pandemic is already planned. SARS plus HIV plus H5N1. Wow. So get ready, kids. Especially if you're not going to have these people justice. It's part of the agenda. So nobody's being brought to justice. Not Gates, not Fauci, not Walensky. So it tells you that's the agenda. None of those people's kids probably died either, by the way. So it's like you're in a different type of warfare. 5th generation, 4th generation. Stop watching World War II documentaries. Liz Churchill. Listen to the president of Pfizer Canada pathologically lie about the poison they force people to get injected with. I'm so glad this stupid witch meets the diversity, inclusion, and equality check marks. This villain belongs in prison for life. Yeah. What is Pfizer hiding? I'll try to find that video, actually. There she is. Who is she? Tucker Carlson shines a light on the COVID scam. They killed people with the lies. Lockdowns were known for 15 years not to work and be extremely harmful. The agencies colluded with social media to take down truth, including most recently about the vaccine side effects. Yeah. You're in a hellscape, man. Dystopia. Vigilant Fox. No one ever complied their way out of tyranny. The three basic truths about government. 1, government never relinquishes power voluntarily. 2, government will abuse any new power to the maximum extent possible. 3, compliance emboldens the government to do something even worse. Robert Kennedy Jr. So if you think that by obeying these rules that somehow things are going to get better, or it is going to satiate the need to control you, it's not. It's just going to embolden them to do something worse next time. Yeah. He is right. Medical emergency becoming a prevalent issue that impacts all modes of transport might be prudent to address as a nation immediately because people are flopping, driving buses and semis and things like that. My 13-year-old is on a school field trip today. Bus driving has them pulled over to the side of the highway, still in the bus, waiting on a new driver. I'm officially done with everything and everyone. Congrats, minimizers. You've destroyed everything. Yeah, they did. The minimizers of this are criminals too. This is Fauci. It's incredible. This guy's a mass murderer. It's just incredible that they're not being prosecuted. They're not arrested. We have the facts. We have the evidence. Genomics expert Kevin McKernan explains how genomic sequencing uncovered surprises in the COVID vaccines. As we've dug deeper into this, we found out that there's more than RNA in there. There's, in fact, a lot of DNA in there as well. Breaking news. COVID-19 was deliberately released on the populations by entities with intent. Anthony Fauci's NIAID was paid $400 million in royalties by Moderna. COVID-19 was engineered in the United States after receiving an infectious clone spike from Wuhan. Not only did Anthony Fauci knowingly and willingly lie in violation of federal law in Congress about not funding gain-of-function, but Anthony Fauci continued these gain-of-function studies and requested additional studies during the moratorium. Yeah, it's incredible. They're above the law. It's such a joke. The law is a total joke, man. It's embarrassing. It's tyranny. You're the worst tyranny America's ever faced. Ever. These people they're headed to be worse than the Nazis. Jessica Rojas. Vaccine injury is real. Stop ignoring this. Yeah. I mean, there's so many stories of people who got injured. It's off the charts. There's like propaganda out there. Spike in deaths in Australia from COVID illnesses, not vaccine. They're going to try propaganda. Never Again is now global. Yeah, that's right. Holocaust survivors, children of the survivors, and grandchildren, as well as German freedom fighters, expressed their shock at today's fear-mongering and divisive dictates that are reminiscent of the prelude to the Holocaust. It's a 5-part series. You can check it out. Never Again is now global. This is a post. If you know if the pandemic was a movie and there was a search for the rather odd scientist that built a deadly synthetic pathogen as a bioweapon to feel important in the world, and he was finally revealed, he would look just like this guy, Ralph Baric. This Bill Gates. I worry we're making the same mistakes again. Nothing's by mistake. You didn't mistake anything. It's all plotted and planned by you, by Fauci. It's all planned. Bill Gates calls for sovereign nations to surrender health authority to WHO, which he controls. No thanks. Yeah, no pass. Hard pass. Bombshell revelation on COVID vaccination in Australia. Senator Babette says that the Australian people were duped into believing that mRNA injections would protect them from COVID. But now the data is showing that the vaccinated population is actually more vulnerable to the virus than the unvaccinated. Yeah, that's right. Robert Kennedy. By the time they figured it out, they had already passed the Patriot Act, that they were in a $1 trillion war in Iraq. What did the FBI say? The FBI said it was Ames anthrax. And the only place that it could have come from was the CIA lab in Fort Detrick. It's clear that somebody associated with the Pentagon or the CIA had something to do with that anthrax because nobody had access except those groups. This is Brandon Taylor. More all-cause mortality by vaccination status from Office of Statistics in England. The quick and dirty summary is that all-cause mortality is up in the vaccinated versus the unvaccinated from 200% to over 400%, depending on the month. This proves the COVID-19 vaccine is killing us. It's not a vaccine. It's a bioweapon. Yeah, everybody got lied to. CDC says it accidentally inflated children's COVID death numbers, encoding logic error. There's Walensky, another criminal. No, they didn't. They elevated it to prove a point. They lie about everything. They're all liars. They lied about January 6th. These are demons. Dude. They're the children of hell. Synagogue of Satan is too nice. I'm being notified by passengers on a Southwest flight departing Las Vegas that the captain became incapacitated soon after takeoff this morning. He was removed from the flight deck and replaced by a non-Southwest pilot who was commuting on that flight. This is now the 5th pilot incapacitation that I'm aware of in the past 2 weeks. I'm flying right now on Delta to Punta Cana. We were delayed almost an hour because something unexpected happened to the pilot, and they had to wait for his replacement to arrive. Could be nothing or the vax. Ethical skeptic. At what point do we declare these deaths casualties due to a more modern form of biological civil warfare? Every deadly result has been through willful action by the party, propagandized by the party, of gain to the party. Yes, absolutely right. It's a no warfare. The Biden administration is killing you. No doubt. There's absolutely no doubt. All these people are part of the party. It's incredible, man. People even support that. I saw this Rasmussen poll that was like 50% support for Biden. I'm like, who? Who supports this? You support child killers? Oh, God have mercy on you. Steve Kirsch. So the CDC knew in advance ivermectin hydroxychloroquine worked to stop SARS-CoV-2, but maybe they forgot. Don't worry. Nobody's going to ask the CDC about this mistake. Yeah, they knew. 5th collapse, 5 weeks. More mortality and death. Kevin Bass. When Rochelle Walensky, director of America's most respected infectious disease institution, claimed to a camera on November 5th, 2021, that the evidence is clear that masks reduce your chance of infection by more than 80%. She was lying to the American people. Yes, she was. Catherine Watt, on the utility for inducing peaceful compliance with violent globalist control and kill programs of presenting fake threats as real, plus war criminal Javier Becerra extends the public health emergency effective March 15th, 2023, using a slightly different wording. From Decibir Protocol, it does show on that. This is Brooke. This censorship machine doesn't care if something is true. It's looking for the political consequences of any statement, which is exactly what despots do. By the way, it's worth subscribing for the excellent conversation with Walter Kim. NMN supplements have vanished. Why? FDA removed it from the market, not because it is unsafe, nor even that it is not beneficial. No, simply because there was a loophole for profiteering. Declared a new drug under clinical investigation. The FDA is not representing us. Duh. Dr. Asim Malhotra. The cat is out of the bag. That which the pharmaceutical cabals wanted to keep from the public is now general knowledge. And only those who refuse to be exposed to the truth are those who still believe in the vaccine narrative sold to the unsuspecting public. Another very important question is this. To what extent did those who played along with the pharmaceutical-driven vaccine narrative did so as a result of financial gain? Good question. There will be a day when those who receive donations from the likes of Pfizer and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation will be exposed. The day of reckoning is coming soon. It's just so aggravating. Kevin Bass, in this video from May 16th, 2021, Dr. Anthony Fauci claims that COVID vaccination turns the person vaccinated into a dead end for the virus. Fauci was claiming something that he could not possibly know based on the evidence that did not exist. He was lying. Yeah, he lies all the time. He's a pathological liar. Silent survivor. Great work done by Welcome to Eagle on discovering the throttling con job being done by CDC director on VAERS. Last 6 months, VAERS published 10,000 reports where they held them over 240 days. The throttling grows exponentially when looking at 90 days and older. It's over 115,000 reports. They're throttling information. They're covering it up. Vigilant Fox. UCSF orders their doctors to ignore COVID vaccine injuries. They don't file VAERS reports either. That's a violation of federal law. Yeah, they're scum. Who's this pig? These are just gross. It's like watching a demon like the Goetia or something. Just another freak, child-killing freak. Reuters article confirms Ukrainian biolabs are creating high-threat mRNA pathogens. Oh, great. Let's send them another 100 billion. You can have another pandemic. Joe Rogan humiliates Bill Gates. He has a giant effing hole in his health game. There's a lot of people out there distributing health advice that have a giant effing hole in their health game. Bill Gates is a great example of that. He's got this big fat belly and he's telling people they have to get vaccinated. Well, he has a benefit. He makes money. Andrew Bridgen, the number needed to vaccinate to prevent just one severe hospitalization in most age groups is astronomical. This has to be heard to be believed. It's all from the government's own data. Bill Gates, what's next for our foundation? I'm particularly excited about what the next year could mean for one of the best buys in global health. Vaccines. Wow. Monster. COVID vaccine injuries. They promised us safe and effective, but we got sudden and unexpected. Yeah, we did. Houstonic Live. The two largest recipients of Sackler family Purdue Pharma OxyContin opioids were Joshua Lederberg and Philip Sharp. Lederberg and Sharp were closest friends of Raymond Sackler per Sackler's obituary. Both dedicated their careers to advancement of genetic medicine, mRNA. Wow. So they just did they're like 2 for 2 genocidal maniacs. Wow. Evil. Evil people, man. Anthony Hinton, Pfizer and the regulators had data by June 2021 showing a serious safety signal for miscarriage. They not only ignored it, but suppressed access to these documents. Yeah, not surprised. Simon Godek, the vaccine saved 20 million lives. Anyone with half a brain can tell you that graph says otherwise. Ivor Cummins, one tiny bit of common sense logic says with certainty that their study is nonsense, not that it is likely it is nonsense. It is nonsense. And somebody responds, well, all the men over 70 in my life have died. Heart attack, stroke, one with aggressive cancer. I'm effing pissed and will devote the rest of my life to bring justice. Edward Dowd. Injuries and lost work time, disability deaths, 3 buckets of cost. The total cost to the U.S. economy will be multiples of the U.S. revenues generated by mRNA as Pfizer, I think. When the truth comes out, and it will, I predict by 2026, both companies won't be listed on any stock exchanges. Yeah, they have to go out of business. They're criminal enterprises. No question. This is one of the things that was mentioned, was this whole thing. Yeah, let's see. Nunn gives grave warning regarding depopulation agenda, calls out the Pope as the spiritual leader of the globalists behind it all. Wow. Government crimes. They paid doctors and nurses to murder innocent patients. They faked COVID cases and deaths to instill fear in the population. They denied safe early treatments, murdering millions of innocent people. They forced ineffective toxic COVID vaccines on the world. They censored anyone sharing life-saving early treatment information and anyone who warned about the dangers of the COVID vaccines. The governments willfully committed crimes against humanity. Yeah, they did. So sick. Karen Kingston, I hate to break it to the inventors of the mRNA vaccine technologies, including Dr. Malone, who believe that when they are falsely representing gene editing nanotechnologies that are being used for purposes of forcibly directing evolution of humans to merge with digital technologies and express DNA from insects and reptiles, this is not ethical. mRNA vaccines are grossly unethical. Yeah, they are. mRNA technology, vaccines are grossly unethical, demonic in nature, and an act of global biowarfare. Correct. That's a great way to end it. So thank you for listening.